It is Thursday, May 8th, and it is time to get in the weeds. I'm Jeremy Lambert. That is SP3. And we're coming off an AEW Dynamite where one person will ascend, one person will redeemed. Redeemed? Is that a word? Can you redeem? I like redeemed because it rhymes with ascend. That's what I was going for there. I feel like
it's not really a word.
It is now.
No, you can't make up words.
Sure. Why not? We do a lot of making up on this show. Why can't we just make up words?
Unless you get the ROH pen, you're not gonna be allowed to make up words.
When I get the ROH pen, that's the first thing I'm gonna do. Actually, I'm gonna have Lee Johnson, and he's gonna be like, "There's been people who've been in this company who have redeemed themselves in the past, and I'm gonna destroy all the redeemers."
You damn redeemers!
He's gonna feud with a dude who is no longer there. The Redeemer, Mero. That's who Lee Johnson's gonna feud with.
The Redeemer. That's actually I actually like that.
Remember when WWE would bring in like the enhancement talent and they'd give them like terrible names, and then they would just get like squashed. That's what I'm gonna do. All these indie dudes that they bring in for squash matches, but they use like their indie names and stuff. That's boring. I'm gonna bring them in. I'm gonna give them names like the Redeemer. I'm gonna give them like old names. So like Ricky Starks. I'm gonna call somebody Absolute Rainy Stinks, and then he's gonna get squashed in like 2 seconds. I don't know if I can use Absolute. We'll just do absolutely.
Are you gonna do Billionaire Nick segments?
Oh hell yeah! On ROH TV, do some Billionaire Nick segments. I'm gonna get Tony to do the Tony Khan TNA skits again. He was fantastic in those. That's what I'm gonna do.
He had way too much fun. Way too much fun on those.
Yeah, I'm gonna do. It's gonna be. I don't know what I can use for Malachi. What am I supposed to do with that? I was just call him Malachi White, and then he just gets beat.
Yeah, the House of White.
The House of White. But it's all black people because the House of Black was all white people.
You're gonna have this one white. You got this one black dude whose last name is White. It's gonna get everybody confused.
And Paul White's gonna be so pissed. Yeah, Paul White's gonna be the leader. That's how it's gonna be called.
Yeah,
it's gonna be the House of White, and it's Paul White and a bunch of black people, and that's the group. But they do spooky stuff as well. Like they still do a bunch of spooky stuff. Paul White's just gonna be performing like exorcisms.
And Dante and Darius and Anthony Bowens. That's the rest of the group.
Is SP3's internet bad? Everybody, he's like frozen and pixelated.
Probably is
on mine.
On pixelated.
Yeah.
See, this is why I shouldn't have restarted my Wi-Fi.
It's going okay now.
Like, it's okay now. I'm not pixelated anymore.
It seems a little bit better for now. Like we'll see what happens here in 5 minutes or so.
All right. Well, I was gonna say do the intro and then I'll restart my internet another time.
Let's leave it be for the time being. Let's see what happens. Guys, leave a thumbs up on the video. You can do that. Let's see if we can get fireworks going. Maybe not. Maybe the fireworks should. There we go. Leave a thumbs up on the video. That helps us out. Subscribe to the channel. That helps us out. Leave a super chat. Get your question, comment, statement read on the air. All that stuff goes a long way in supporting what we do here on this channel. We are scheduled. I will say scheduled because, as usual, I jinx these things when I announce it a day in advance. Scheduled to have Marc Mero at 11 o'clock. I have sent. I've sent the confirmation. I didn't get anything back, so fingers crossed type of thing. I'm not. I don't want to fully like promote it because there's a possibility he doesn't show up, but there's also a possibility that he does show up. Matthew is in timeout. Louis, thanks for your super chat. You are also in timeout. But thank you. I don't have time for
That was nice.
this.
That was nice. All right, I'm getting frozen too much. I'm restarting my stuff.
Okay.
Do it one more time. Do the intro.
I have to do the intro again. Leave a thumbs up again, everybody. Leave a super chat and you'll get banned because you are mentioning painful memories for me. I'm not over this, folks. I'm not. So don't bring it up. I will put you in timeout. This is less than a week old. I'm not over it. I hope your team. It's timeout. It's timeout. It's not blocked. It says it's blocked. I'm pretty sure I put him in timeout though. We'll see if SP3. Your internet resets very quickly.
Yeah. Try my best. I just turn it off and I do 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, and then come back.
Mississippi, and then you turn around and they get the spray tan.
No, that's how we used to play. What was it like? Catch the bacon or whatever you do when there's a cone in the in the middle.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. It's been a while.
I don't remember. I'm nearly pushing 40, so I don't remember these things from when I was a single digit kid.
Yeah, it's been a while since we played the Catch the Bacon. That was a fun game. In the middle school probably days, give or take.
Yeah,
I didn't really play that in high
I had
school.
to be like 7, 8, 9 years old playing that type of stuff.
Yeah,
like
maybe elementary. Yeah, elementary, early middle school. This is when we play that. So there you go.
All right, put J Krez in timeout too.
All right, sorry, J Grills.
Yeah, like you wilding for respect here. Like we that was a week ago. Why are we talking about stuff from a week ago, man?
Yeah. Sorry, J Grills. If SP3 is asking me to put you in timeout, I gotta put you in timeout.
We should only be insulting the Boston Celtics after yesterday. Oh my God! If you told me this happened once, I'd be like, I don't know, I don't believe you. At home, game 1, it happened once. If you had told me it happened twice, I'm trying to get you the nearest number to a mental health facility and be like, you have to be going insane. But it legit happened twice. 20-point leads, and they just blew it. My Lord. And I don't know how to feel. This is a series that I hate because I hate both teams. Because I have to do shows with Romeo and miserable Knick fans like Romeo can't be happy for themselves. He's starting off Rated Raw Review on Tuesday hating on me for Becky Lynch being shouted out because she's the GOAT. He's like, Charlotte Flair, that list is all wrong. You got number 1 wrong, so the whole list is wrong because he's a devout Charlotte Flair fan. And I was like, why can't you be happy? I was happy for you that the Knicks won, and he couldn't be happy for me. He eventually got happy for me when we finally talked about the segment, but still, these miserable Knicks fans, they can't be happy. They're probably up 2-0 and still thinking they're going to lose this series instead of having just a bit more confidence because now they have home court advantage certified. But it's also the Boston Celtics, and I hate the Boston Celtics. Like, I don't want Boston to get too up on us, so I'm totally fine with them losing. But I really feel like if the Knicks do win this series, they are going to the NBA Finals, and that will make Knicks fans insufferable.
I don't know how to feel about this series. Like, I still think Boston's going to win this series. I really do. I don't know if the Knicks are actually the better team. Like, they've been down.
They're not. But Boston is literally their own worst enemy. They have shut themselves out of the gym.
Oh, 100%. They didn't have a field goal in like the last 8 minutes last night until the Tatum dunk. That was it. That was the only field goal they had in like the last 7 or 8 minutes, which is absurd. Absurd to think about. Like, You couldn't hit a single shot in that time. But I still think Boston's the better team. You don't go up 20 and sort of not be the better team. Like something has to go horribly wrong. And look, I saw something go horribly wrong on Monday night. I'm not quite over that. We at least responded, unlike the Knicks or unlike the Celtics last game. We at least, after blowing that lead, we came out and we said, yeah, we ain't screwing around.
Let's smack these boys.
Yeah, let's take care of some business here tonight. So OKC at least responded. The Celtics looked like they were responding, and then and the thing is when the game got to like 5 minutes left and the Knicks were making that run, I had full confidence the Knicks were about to win that game. Like Boston just can't help themselves in these moments. And the Knicks, as much as I don't believe in them, like because I don't believe in them, I trust Jalen Brunson in these close situations. Like I know clutch player of the year. I don't believe in that award. I think it's a dumb award.
I did call that. I called that right here on this show. Called him being clutch player of the year, and he's proven it. He's proven why in this, especially in this series. I mean, Drew Holiday's playing him very well on defense too. That's the crazy part. Like if you told me that Drew Holiday is doing a great job on defense against him, and the Knicks are still winning. And in the last two games, they won on defensive plays at the end. That the Boston couldn't even get a shot up. Like this is probably going to be one of those series that we look back on and say like this was a changing of the guard, because everybody was talking about the Boston Celtics being like the next dynasty of the NBA. But if they lose this series, they gotta make some changes either to their coaching or to their philosophy. I don't know.
Philosophy, maybe. Coaching, I don't know. Like Porzingis, I don't know if he's hurt. I know he's like battling.
He's got an illness.
Yeah. He looks sick on the court. Like he's playing terrible. He probably shouldn't even be playing, honestly. Like he's doing more harm than good at this point with when he's out there. So we shall see. I still don't think the Celtics are done though. I really don't, because I still think they're the better team, and I don't fully buy into the Knicks. But now they got to win 4 out of 5. The Knicks just got to win 2 out of 5, and it's a little bit easier to win 2 out of 5 than 4 out of 5. So we shall see if the Celtics can get it done. I mean, the Pacers, they're gonna have their hands full with the Pacers. That team's legit this year.
Oh yeah. I said this too. I was like, when I looked like we were getting Pacers versus Cavs, and everybody's saying it's gonna be Cavs and Celtics in the finals, I was like, don't sleep on the Pacers. The Pacers had one of the better second halves of the season, and they just have a complete team that really surprises a lot of folks. And they surprised, Cleveland in game 1, and they did the same again. So I like Tyrese Halliburton being the leader. They got someone who's a champion in Pascal Siakam, and Remorse Betrayal. No, this Boston Celtic team is not a dynasty. If you want to say in all time NBA history, yes, Boston has had dynasties. This Boston team is not a dynasty. They've won 1 championship. They've been to like 5 straight conference finals, but they have only won 1 championship out of those.
Yeah, you can't call this team a dynasty with 1 title. It's got to be at least like 3 out of 4 to be a dynasty.
I'd say back to back, you're a dynasty.
Okay.
Because a lot of people consider the Heatles a dynasty.
They at least went to 4 finals. Yeah. I don't really consider the Heatles a dynasty though. I think that was a good short-term team. I like the 3 out of 4 criteria to be a dynasty, or maybe 3 out of 5, because 3 out of 4 is a lot. 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5, because a lot of people consider the Spurs a dynasty, and they never won back-to-back.
Yeah, the Spurs went like the Duncan era is a dynasty.
They won in 03, 05, 07, so they won 3 out of 5.
Yeah. So I think 3 out of 5 is more dynasty than back to back, because back-to-back can like happen, but 3 out of 5's just much tougher. Like, yeah, I need a little bit more than just back-to-back on that. No, that's where I'm at on the dynasty talk.
So in our lifetime, the only dynasties that we have seen is the Bulls of the 90s, the Lakers of the early 2000s, the Spurs of the mid 2000s, and then the next one would be probably the Golden State Warriors, who won 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
It's crazy. We said this the other day that it's been like 6 years since we had a actual dynasty in the NBA, or even back-to-back champions. Like, it's been this is the most parity that I've seen from the NBA in a very long time. Because even if, you know, we're going through the criteria of 3 out of 5, you can still say that the Heatles were a fringe dynasty, winning back-to-back and going to four straight finals. So we hadn't had this long of a gap in a very long time.
I thought that the Celtics were going to win back-to-back this year, and it's not over. They're not eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, you know, that's fully dead, but I got to turn things around. I got to figure things out. They got to get 2 in the Garden, because I don't know if they go down 3-1, that's going to be tough sledding. But they came back, almost came back 0-3 against Miami. And if Tatum doesn't get hurt in that game 7, who knows what happens there? But Tatum did get hurt, and they put themselves in that position they were down 0-3, and they had to crawl their way back into that before ultimately not winning the series. They just find a way to put themselves in like difficult positions, no matter what. They really do.
The crazy part is, in this series, especially in these first 2 games, it feels like the Knicks play better when they're down by 20, and Boston starts to play too tight.
Oh, Boston just lets off the gas when they're up that much. So look, I've watched every game of the playoffs so far in the second round, and watching Boston blow back-to-back leads and watching OKC blow their lead on Monday, even watching the OKC game last night, I didn't feel comfortable at any point until the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter started like, all right, we're up like 35. If we blow this game, like, they're pulling their starters. Jokic is fouled out on purpose at this point. Like, if we blow this game, I don't know, shoot the team into the sun and just end it, end the series. Just give it to Denver. There's no more. Don't even play the rest of the games. Concede. But like, you don't feel comfortable in any of these games. Like, it's weird to say, but the Thunder Nuggets game last night was like the first quote unquote normal game, and it was a 40-point like rout by the Thunder. Like, that's otherwise all of these games have been nuts. Absolutely nuts. Like, multiple 20-point comebacks. Like, the Timberwolves didn't come back against the Warriors, but they made it close. And the fact that like Steph got hurt and they didn't come back, like, that was still just a wild game into itself. Like, without the comeback, it was still just the way it played out was insane. And like a 40-point blowout was the least insane thing that has happened so far in the second round. Every other game has been absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, it's been probably the craziest conference semifinals since like probably 2002. I was looking up the stat. I think NBA posted it on their social media that the Knicks comeback and Pacers comeback on back-to-back nights is the first time that 2 teams have come back from 20-point deficits to win games in the playoffs since 2002, when the Lakers did it against the Sacramento Kings and the Boston Celtics did it against I think it was the New Jersey Nets.
It's been a wild playoffs so far. I don't have a great feel for it. The only thing I feel kind of comfortable about is the Pacers winning, because Cavs just too banged up right now. Yeah. And Donovan Mitchell was gassed at the end of game 2, and they still lost that game. And now I don't know if Garland's going to be back. Mobley's out. DeAndre Hunter's out. Like they have good depth, but when you're missing probably your second and your third best player, Mitchell's definitely one, and then it's Garland or Mobley. You can flip flop them for 2 and 3, and then it's Shared Allen after that. So yeah, missing your second and third best player, it's going to be a tough comeback going to Indiana, where the Pacers have played well so far in the playoffs as well. And that's the only one I feel really comfortable about, is the Pacers are probably winning that series.
Yeah, I think the Golden State and Minnesota, it depends on how long Steph's going to be out.
He's supposed to be out. He's supposed to be out at least until Game 5.
Might be tough. Might be tough for them. I mean, Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green are two beasts on defense, but I don't know if they have the offensive firepower to compete with Minnesota. Minnesota was my pick at the beginning of the series. Yeah, Buddy Hield. He was the one that helped them in that Game 1 win. So
I mean, he won Game 7 for him as well. Steph didn't score. He scored like 2 points in the first half, and Buddy Hield just went off in that game.
Because Steph is so good that they were double teaming him and keeping a guy who had 23 in the first half open.
The Steph injury definitely hurts the Warriors, and they still managed to keep hold of the game on Tuesday night. Obviously, it's going to be a different battle with him missing the entire game. I don't think Minnesota is going to play that bad again. Like, Edwards was not good at all. But the Warriors, like, Steve Kerr is a good coach. I know Warriors fans like to act like sometimes he's not, because he makes some questionable decisions, but he's a good coach. And he, so far, at least in the Game 1, and even the Rockets series, like, he was able to adapt and figure out ways to just get victories in those games. And the Timberwolves got to not complain so much about the refs. I hate this complaining about the refs.
They always do this, though. That's what they do. They always complaining about the referee. And remember, they were complaining about Game 2 with us, that the refs wasn't giving them any calls.
I mean, I'm sure they did complain about that. I don't remember them complaining about it. But they complain about it all the time. Like, they were complaining about in the regular season after OKC games. Like, oh, Shea's at the line all the time. It's like, you guys shot 30 free throws. All right, Shea shot 13, but the team shot like 15 total.
Yeah.
You doubled us up in free throw attempts. Like, you're just complaining about one guy shooting free throws. Like, you got to stop complaining about the refs and everything. Like, just play through it, you know? And everyone knew this was going to happen in the playoffs. This is literally what happens every single playoffs, is it gets more physical, and some stuff's called, some stuff's not. I wish it was called more even. I thought the game last night with OKC, like, it was even in terms of fouls overall, until the end, when Jokic was just fouling people on every play and didn't seem to care to be there. I thought Game 1 was miserable, though. Like, that's one of the reasons why OKC blew that lead, is they called a foul every time down the court on OKC. So they were at the line the entire fourth quarter. They didn't have to execute.
That's how they were able to get back into the game.
Yeah. I mean, on top of OKC just
collapsing.
Yeah, it's complete collapse. There's no other way to put it. Like, I think collapsing, like, just making bad plays offensively and defensively, like, just bad everything. There's no excuse for losing that game. But at least they did come out and respond in Game 2.
My pick for the NBA champions.
Probably not going to happen, but
it is going to happen, because I mean, my pick has looked a lot better than your pick.
In a way, yes.
1-1 is better than 0-2.
Yeah, but one team's facing the Knicks.
You're going to stop disrespecting the Knicks. Stop disrespecting the Knicks. They have earned the right for me to not hate on them as much as I want to hate on them today.
Nah, fair. Balabi says, vanilla fumble is what we call when Jeremy talks to SP3 about getting a tan. I gotta be better about this.
I'm vanilla, baby.
When Valabi sends his
Yeah.
super chat. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to pull it up quicker than I do. I was making a Friends joke for reference. I was not saying anything about SP3 getting a tan. He talked about One Mississippi, and I was making a Friends joke because Ross in the episode, I don't know, it's called the one where Ross gets a tan, I assume. He goes to the spray tan and he's like, how do you count? You use Mississippi? And they're like, no, just 1, 2, 3, turn. And then Ross can't do it. So let me get my French jokes off, Vala B. Jeez.
If you get French jokes off, I will get living single jokes off, since all it is a white version of living single. Friends.
Fair. This is factual. Steve Kerr knew Tatum wasn't the guy. And
Yo, Steve Kerr might have been a prophet. Might have been a prophet. He knew the anomaly. He figured out the anomaly before everybody else.
It is very funny that he didn't play him at all in the Olympics.
He's like, we don't need this guy. All we need is Steph Curry. I know this from personal experience.
Like, I'm not the biggest Jason Tatum fan. I recognize he's very good. Like, truthfully, if you tell me Jason Tatum's a top 5 player, it's debatable, but there's the argument there. I think Giannis, Shea, Jokic, and probably Luka are like 4 that you're not swaying me on. After that,
Luka. I don't know about Luka. I'll be honest with you.
You're down on him because of what happened in the playoffs.
Yeah, and he needs to get in shape, and he needs to work on moving his feet on defense. Okay. And then I say he's certified number in that top 5. But I said the top 3 you just gave, Giannis, Jokic, and Shea. I think those are, without debate, those are 3 of the top 5 players in the league.
Okay. I mean, yeah, those 3, 100%. I don't think you're definitely not swaying me on those 3. People saying Anthony Edwards. That's the 5th that you can debate me on.
Anthony Edwards, man.
Okay, but what did Anthony Edwards do in game 1? Like, I mean, he wasn't good.
No, he wasn't good. But he had his off games. He had his off game against the Lakers when he shot the ball horribly, and he had 15 points. But he made all the right decisions on the court. This was a legit bad game for him in game 1.
What did Anthony Edwards do in the conference finals last year against Dallas? He wasn't that good.
He's still learning. Kobe shot 4 straight air balls against the Utah Jazz in 1998 in the playoffs. Sometimes you got to grow into being a beast.
Right. I understand all this. I'm not trying to knock Anthony Edwards. It might sound like that, but I'm truly not. I'm trying to put this in perspective of Jason Tatum has been to the finals multiple times. He's won a championship. He's been to the conference finals like every year for the past 5 years.
I personally think Tatum is 4. I would put Tatum above Luka.
Okay. Oh, Matthew's saying Tatum is the best player. Are you going who? Jaylen Brown? That's who the best player is? Jaylen Brown's not better.
Jaylen Brown got his Andre Iguodala NBA Finals run. Like Andre Iguodala winning the NBA Finals MVP over Steph Curry. That's what that was. He did have a better series. Don't get me wrong. He did have an overall better series than Tatum, but if the NBA Finals MVP is just who had the better series, it's not always that. It hasn't always been that. Usually NBA Finals MVP is who's the best player on the winning team. That's been a lot of times. And if it was that, then it would have been Jason Tatum. But Jason Tatum had 2 really bad games in that NBA Finals last year, and Jaylen Brown was the more consistent player. That's why he won NBA Finals MVP. You won't be telling me that he is going to be getting more votes for league MVP over Jason Tatum. And he wasn't the best player on their team through 3 series in the Eastern Conference last year. That was Jason Tatum.
Derek White, I'll hear the argument for. If you want to say Derek White's the best player on the Celtics, I'll hear the argument for that. Jaylen Brown's not better than Jason Tatum. We gotta stop acting like Jason Tatum is actually a bad player. And I say this as someone who does not like Jason Tatum. And I would not pick Jason Tatum to like, I would pick Anthony Edwards over Jason Tatum to start my team. I'd probably pick even guys like Jalen Brunson and Tyrese Halliburton just because I like them more than Tatum. Yeah. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend like Jason Tatum is a bad player. He's very, very good. And he's enhanced by the team that is around him on Boston. That's for sure. But he also allows the guys around him on Boston to be as good as they are because he is that good. And the anomaly nickname is stupid. But he does a little bit of everything. Like he's a good defender. He's a good rebounder. He's a good playmaker. He's relatively a good shooter. He's streaky. He jacks up too many threes. But, he's still a good overall shooter.
That's why I put him ahead of Luka, because he's a better two-way player than Luka is. So that's why I would put him above. I think I know you don't like him too much, but I would say that Jason Tatum is a great player. At his peak, he's a great player. I just think that he gets a lot of flack because he's on the Boston Celtics, one, because he had not an inconsistent NBA Finals run when he did finally win the championship. But the dude's been to 5 straight conference finals. He's been the leader of the Boston Celtics since he was like 19, 20 years old. Like, we can't underestimate that or undermine that by saying, oh, Jaylen Brown's better than him. Derek White's better than him. He is the best player on what was the best team last year. So let's stop doing that. Don't do that, Skip.
I don't think the media makes Tatum out to be a top 5 player. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Nobody really considers him a top 5 player. Like, he gets a lot of flack for how good he actually is. No one really does. Anybody consider him a top 5 player? Honestly, like I
think he's gonna be first team All NBA from this season. I think he had a top five season in the NBA this past regular season.
Like, I don't watch a lot of other basketball media stuff because it's too much just hot take nonsense and not actual like analysis. So I don't care to engage in any of that stuff. So, but every time I see stuff with Tatum, it's always, he's not the guy. Like he's not this great player. He's not a killer on the court like that. So that's where I don't know if they do consider him a top 5 player. Honestly, that's why like everybody puts Luka like way ahead of Tatum. Like it's never a real debate. And look, I have Luka ahead of Tatum. I think he's better than
do not. And Luka's on my team, and I do not have him as a top 5 player in the NBA.
That's probably the biggest thing, J Girls, is like he doesn't have like this defining kind of thing. Like he has a championship, but because he wasn't the best player on the team and because he didn't win the finals MVP, no one looks at that as like, oh, this is his defining moment. Like all these other players, you can remember big shots that they hit or big games that they carried the team in. And Jason Tatum like doesn't really have that. I mean, my biggest Jason Tatum memory is when they played the Thunder in the Thunder's rebuilding year with Chris Paul, and he got stoned by Chris Paul in the post. Like he tried to take Chris Paul at the elbow and missed the shot, and Chris Paul just stood on the spot and like was chirping at him of like, the fuck are you trying this for? Like, what are you doing? Like, really? You couldn't do that against Chris Paul? And I say that in look, Chris Paul was better then than he's now. He was younger then, a few years younger. But like I watched Chris Paul like handle Kevin Durant, like prime Kevin Durant in the post. Like if you're gonna do anything against Chris Paul, like posting him up probably ain't the option there.
Yeah.
So that's my defining Jason Tatum memory, is him being unable to do anything with Chris Paul in the post.
That's outrageous, but I respect it. Hey, this will be if he comes back from this 2-0 deficit and he's the leader of the team, the best player on the team, and they come back and beat the Knicks, this will be a defining series for him.
Could be, until Derek White has to steal games like he did against Miami. True best player on the team, Derek White.
Oh, we gotta stop. I saw somebody. He wasn't even in the top 5 best. He was the 5th best player on his team. Y'all are ridiculous. Y'all are ridiculous.
That's true, J Girls. I hate his stupid little step back 3 that he does. I legitimately don't like watching Jason Tatum play. He's not for me. This is what, again, I say, like, he's not for me, but I can recognize he's still a really good player who, if he's on your team, you can do a lot of things with. Like, you can play multiple styles with Tatum. But I don't like watching him play.
We need to start talking like how NBA basketball analysts and commentators talk about top 5 players. We need to talk more about top 5 wrestlers in professional wrestling. Who's the top 5? We need to have more debates and more talk about that. I don't think there's enough of that in the wrestling media, wrestling commentary state.
Didn't we just do this on Tuesday with Randy Orton and Cope?
Well, we did. That's all time. I'm talking about NBA, man. They talk about who's the top 5 players in the league, who's the best player in the league, like every single day. I just want us to do it at least once a week. We should talk about it once a week.
They're still talking about LeBron, and he's been out of the playoffs for 2 weeks now. They're still talking about what it means for his legacy.
Me and you would agree on who we think is the best in-ring guy in the wrestling today.
I disagree that we'll agree on this, unless we're counting Bryan Danielson.
Well, no, he's not active. It's right now. Okay, so 3. We'll go on 3. We'll say who we think is the best in-ring performer.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Konosuke Takeshita.
V.
I knew you were gonna. I knew
L.
Even though you legitimately said that it's Konosuke Takeshita like a week ago, I knew you were gonna do that just to be a troll. That's the best male, best female. I would give it to Io Sky.
Yeah, I legitimately do think it's Takeshi. He rules. He's so good. So good. Or John Cena, one of the two.
Oh, God. Man, Evil and John Cena. This is ridiculous.
Could you imagine that match? That would rule. That would absolutely rule. We can both agree that all of the wrestlers in AEW are better than all of the wrestlers in WWE.
Yes, because that's going to go on so well. I know people are going to react to that like regular people and not be like, why is he always talking about WWE? Like they don't know he's being asked this question.
So let me set all this up. So Will Ospreay did an interview with Daily Star. Came out yesterday. Really good interview, by the way. It's like 26 minutes or so. I listened to the whole thing and it's really good. Like I like listening to Will Ospreay interviews. I think he's insightful. I think he's grown more confident in just like doing these kind of interviews, whereas before he would be a little bit reserved and maybe he would still say some shit and that would like pop and get headlines and everything. But now he feels like just much more confident and like he's very unafraid of like, like this is how I feel. You can tell me about it. So he was very insightful of like talking about the Leon Slater stuff and not being caught at Rebellion. And he also just talked about like production stuff with like New Japan and AEW. And he says in there, he's like, I wish that AEW would take some cues with New Japan production. He's like, I hate the hard cam. Like the hard cam is just I don't like it. I like it like the action stuff. I don't like all the camera cuts and everything. Like if I'm doing a match, keep it tight on me. It should not be on the button pusher to cut if a strike misses. Like no, tighten that kind of stuff up. It's a really insightful interview with Will Ospreay. I encourage everyone to check it out. There's more articles coming. But at the end of it, he's asked about like, oh, before Mercedes signed with AEW, like you were praising her and you took photos with her as Sasha Banks and was saying how good she was. Ricochet, you're always very complimentary of Ricochet before he signed with AEW. And it's like, is there a rivalry there? Or is there like a good respect between, like, hey, what are your thoughts? And then he gave his comment. And again, I encourage everyone to listen to the whole thing or read the whole quote, because obviously I wrote the headline that I wrote, and people are going to chop up the quote how they're going to chop up the quote. That's all their prerogative. I got to write a headline that's engaging and is going to get clicks and be interactive with. And it's not like he didn't say these things, because he did say these things, but I got to write that line. I got to write, and I know what's going to get people talking, but it's a really good quote overall. And like, I understand where he is coming from overall. The thing people are going to pick out is, he's not a fan of WWE. He doesn't watch WWE. He didn't watch WrestleMania, although he praised Rhea and Bianca and Io with their match. And he mentioned that, like, in ring, I don't think anybody from WWE is better than anybody than our guys. Like, on the mic, they got guys. They see him. He mentioned CM Punk and Roman Reigns specifically, but in the ring, I don't think their guys are as good as our guys. What do you expect Will Ospreay to say? Like, he believes in everybody in AEW, and he is very big on this is where the best wrestle type of thing. I don't think he thinks that like everybody in WWE is this awful in-ring performer or anything. I'm sure if you asked him, hey, what do you think of Gunther? He'd probably be very complimentary of Gunther. What do you think of CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens? He'd probably be very complimentary of that stuff. It's a different style. I think Ospreay even recognized it's a different style than what they do. He prefers their style. He prefers his own style, which, shocker, a wrestler who wrestles a certain style likes to wrestle that style and likes watching that style more than the other style that's a little bit slower paced and not quite as explosive or high risk or action packed. Ospreay said what he said. I don't have an issue with it. People who are like, what are they talking about? They get asked. It's so dumb. This happened WrestleMania week as well. And again, far be it from me to defend Nick Khan, but Nick Khan was asked about AEW and he gave the comments that he gave. Other people who weren't asked about that company and then gave the comments, that's where I'm like, all right, you didn't need to say that. Like, that's a little bit, what are you talking about? But if somebody gets asked, they're allowed to give their opinion on this stuff. Now, where are you at with
that? I had no issue with what Ospreay said, because it's not like this is the first time he's ever said that. He said this in the past. He said that he's never been a WWE guy. That's why when he made the decision to come to AEW, it was a relatively basically what you would expect someone who's picking between two different jobs. The job that is offering you more money and a better schedule, you go for that one. You're not going to go to the other one because I was dreamed of going there. I was dreamed of being there. You know me. I've criticized that whole thinking before, because it's the pro wrestling business. It's not the pro wrestling dream. I always say it's great to have dreams and whatnot, but it's a business at the end of the day. So you should go wherever you're going to get paid money, the most money possible, to do your job and to do it to the best of your ability, because I guarantee you your dream will still be out there in 3 to 5 years when your contract comes up after you made and became a millionaire. You can go to that company and live out your dream all you want. You don't need to take a pay cut to go live your dream. I hate that. I hate that mentality so much. I'm sorry if that insults your favorite wrestler who always dreamed of being in the WWE, but the fact that this company is making record profits and can't pay you the same as the other company, that sounds like a you problem. I'm just saying, I don't like that at all. So that's why I respected Will Ospreay's decision a hell of a lot more than the people that went to their dream and took a pay cut, because he's getting paid a whole bunch of money. And when he's asked these questions, he could be honest and be like, I don't really like that style and never liked that style too much. So it wasn't really my dream. I've never been a WWE guy. I've never been a WWE fan. This is something that we've known for years. And I love the people that were like, oh, he's like, they do the same thing over and over again. He's describing his own matches. Tell me the one Will Ospreay matchup tell me the Will Ospreay versus Ricochet from 2016 is the same as Will Ospreay versus Konosuke Takeshita. Tell me the Will Ospreay versus Konosuke Takeshita match is the same as Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson, and I will tell you straight to your face, you're an idiot and you didn't even watch the matches. That's what I will say to you. So no, they're not the same. If you say CM Punk versus Seth Rollins in the steel cage was the same as CM Punk versus Seth Rollins on the Netflix show was the same as CM Punk versus Sami Zayn, yeah, he does the same spots. They do the same motions. Every WWE wrestler, especially the top stars, do the same 5 moves in every single matchup. There's some variation. There's a counter or two to tell a different story, but it's mostly the same. That's what he's trying to say. Like, WWE basically cuts your moveset in half, and there's a style to it. They want the WWE style. There are variations of that, and people that make it a little bit different and put their kind of spin on it, like a Gunther, who's really kind of kind of taking that WWE style and taking it to another level, and that's why he has these high quality matches. There's someone like a Io Sky who speeds up the pacing of her matches to have a different type of WWE style matches, and that's what makes them one of the best wrestlers in the world and makes everybody else just doing the WWE style. Those are the exception to the rule. That's aren't the rule in WWE. So I 100% understood what Will Ospreay was saying. I understand what Will Ospreay is thinking. And I've said it once, I will say it again. If I wasn't paid to watch WWE, I probably would not watch it as often. Sometimes there are great episodes. I loved NXT this week because guess what? We got a different style of a WWE matchup. They gave us a Joshi style WWE match in the main event with Jordynne Grace and Julia. Why did that happen? Because she did a botch and she dropped somebody on their head, and they just completely said, okay, we're just going to have this a Joshi style hard hitting matchup. And that was one of the best TV matches of the year. Sometimes there are exceptions to the rule on WWE television, but for the most part, you know what you're going to get from WWE. They're going to start off with a promo. The promo sets up something for later in the show, and then there's going to be a DQ finish in at least one of the matches. You know you're going to get some big stars going at it in the main event, and 9 times out of 10, that finish is not going to be satisfying either. And you know SmackDown's going to suck every week. So that is what you expect from WWE TV. If I'm not paid to watch this, I would not watch it as often as I do. So I understand where Will Ospreay is coming from.
I can diminish the dream stuff. Like, if people want to go to WWE and they want to main event WrestleMania, like, more power to them. Let them chase.
More power to them. I don't think you should be taking pay cuts for dreams.
All right. I mean, I get your point on that. Go get the money, but some people, that is the allure of WWE. And again, when we mentioned it with Stephanie Vaquer and other people, so many of them just grew up and they saw Triple H and they saw Shawn Michaels and they saw the pageantry of WrestleMania and everything. It's like, that's where I want to be. That's what I want to do. And let's not pretend like they aren't getting a lot of money. out
Oh
of
no,
this.
they're
Like,
getting way more money than I ever made in my lifetime. But I'm saying, if the deciding factor of you making a decision in a place that's called a business is taking a pay cut from a company that is making more money than any promotion ever in the pro wrestling state, I don't think that's the wisest decision for your career.
I'm not
But
gonna,
it's your decision. It's not mine.
I'm not gonna tell them to not chase their dreams and not want to be on WrestleMania and main event WrestleMania. I get where you're coming from. Like, I'm with you. Get your money. Like, they're getting money. They said, look, WWE should be paying all these people more. I've always said that. They 100%.
Hey, I'm a certified bag watcher. I watch these talents bag because I want them to make as much money as possible, and guarantee. And if y'all want me to name somebody, I'm sorry, I will. I love you, Stephanie Vicaire. You're the one of the best women's wrestlers in the world. But you could have signed a Mariah May deal and done 2 years in AEW, become a millionaire, and then you would probably go to WrestleMania on year one instead of spending a year in NXT. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. If I'm your agent, that's what I would have told you to do.
But you couldn't convince her after a conversation with Shawn Michaels. She would have talked to Shawn Michaels and been like, nope, I'm not listening to you. Shawn Michaels is the whisperer.
He's
there.
the whisperer.
Yeah.
It's like you want more money and a better schedule? Go to AEW. We don't care. I can imagine Shawn and Triple H saying.
To tie this into what happened on television last night, Will Ospreay cut what I thought was a fantastic promo with Hangman Page and talking about this is not about your redemption. He did mention the Dark Order segment, which he brought up in the interview of Dark Order being a gang of misfits, and they came together because Hangman Page was their cowboy leader. And he mentioned how that was big to him and it gave him goosebumps and everything. He said, it's not about your redemption and all right, you got to get back. Nope, this is about me getting to the top and showing why I am on another level. I don't know if he used that catchphrase in that segment. I hated that backstage segment with him.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed everything Will did last night. I thought the promo exchange was fantastic.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, I thought Hangman was exceptional.
Yeah.
Him just like this was like the promo segment that you show someone who hasn't been watching AEW, like a first time watcher, and they would be engaged on the Hangman Adam Page journey and character so much because he gave you basically a recap for anyone who hasn't been watching. This is what I've been through. I've been through hell. It put my family at risk. I went to war with somebody, and when I thought that I had redeemed myself and put him through the same pain that he put me through, I had the chance to go back down there and finish the job, but I couldn't do it. And I've had this obsession, and it's made me hurt other people that I care about along the way, including his mentor. And now he has to put all of that aside. He doesn't forgive Swerve Strickland. He's not going to forget what he did to him, but he has to put that behind him. And that's why he joined the Owen Hart Cup. That's why he competed in the tournament. That's why he's going to go to Double or Nothing and win the tournament and go on to redeem himself by winning the AEW World Championship at All in Texas. And then I love Ospreay's response to that is, I'm the guy that's waving the flag here for AEW. You had a great journey, and he even outlined even further ahead of the whole Swerve Strickland feud where Hangman's character has gone through the change. He was like, you had the Dark Order, you took a band of misfits who gave you the confidence to reach the apex of this company and win the AEW World Championship. But that guy is long gone. I'm the guy that's representing the company. I'm the guy that's out here every single week proving this is where where the best wrestle. I'm the guy who's doing the media tours, who's doing the interviews. It's not you, it's me. Your redemption is not going to get in the way of my ascension. Ascension versus redemption, a great kind of tagline for this. And you ask, people always ask, like, AEW, is it just great matches? No, it's great storytelling because they have some of the best promo guys in the business. And I think that Ospreay and Hangman are two of the most underrated promos in the business. I don't think Hangman has ever gotten the credit for how great and how many instant classic promos he's had, whether it's the work with Swerve Strickland, whether it was his promo with Jon Moxley where he talked about the concussion. He's had so many of these throughout his run in AEW specifically, and Will Ospreay has just been a revelation on the mic. It's something that us as like New Japan fans have seen for the past 3, 4, 5 years, especially when he came up into the heavyweight division and became IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. He took his promo work to another level, pun intended, and now he's showing it on US television every single week, and he's been that revelation since coming in to AEW last year, and this was one of his better promos in a very long time. And I thought they gave a story to what's going to be one of the best matches of the year, especially for AEW at Double or Nothing in the Owen Hart Cup final. And then I love Don Callis being the one to come out and give them a common enemy to deal with in the road to Double or Nothing. And next week's Beach Break is a big show, setting up that tag team matchup with Josh Alexander and Konosuke Takeshita. That's gonna be another TV instant classic. Like that's gonna be absolutely awesome. Just based off every time we've seen Will Ospreay and Konosuke Takeshita in the ring together, it seems like they always give us a 5-star matchup or one of the best matches of the year. They had a top 5 match so far this year at Spring Breakthrough. They had that fantastic tag team matchup in Australia with Kenny Omega and Kyle Fletcher. And I think next week with Josh Alexander and Hangman, they're going to do it again on Beach Break. And they're probably going to steal the show from that steel cage match. Sorry, Joe and Moxley.
We will get more into AEW Dynamite here in a little bit. But first, we do have a guest. SP3. He's here. You know him from WWE. You know him from WCW as Johnny B. Bad. He has his book that is out. It came out in March. Marc Mero, From Bad to Good. The inspiring story of a wrestling wild man. You can get it now on Amazon. He is Marc Mero, everybody. Mark, how you doing?
Jeremy, I'm doing great. SP3. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you, Mark.
We appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, again, thank you for being here. Shout out to Kenny McIntosh for helping setting all this up. Kenny's a great dude and a pal of the show. How's everything been with the book now that it's out? How's the reception been to it?
It's been fantastic, man. You know, I toured England for a little bit. Did 3 days over in England to kick off the book tour. And it was fantastic, man. I tell you, some of the UK fans are some of the greatest fans out there. And Kenny and Dante traveled with those guys and had a great time in different cities. We were in Aberdeen, we were in Manchester, we were in Newcastle. So it was fantastic. Every place was packed and sold a lot of books. And the book is doing really well. Just sharing honest stories from my heart, from things I went through in the past, and my hope for the future.
Oh, sorry, SP3. I thought you had something. All right, let's get into some stuff from your career. So I'm gonna take you back to 1995. This is me. I was a WCW fan growing up. I lived in Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia. So you guys ran the Scope all the time.
Yeah.
Big Johnny B. Bad guy. Loved your feud with Diamond Dallas Page and and Kimberly. So World War III. You faced DDP and beat him, and then you kissed Kimberly. Me, as a 7-year-old, 8-year-old in the crowd, I didn't quite understand what was going on when you held the card up and you like blocked the view of what was going on when you were kissing Kimberly here. So my question to all this is just basically memories of the feud with DDP and working with him, and maybe influencing my childhood a little bit with what happened with that kiss.
Well, my apologies if it ever went south for you. But trust me, I got Dallas's complete authority to do that. Okay. So the feud with Dallas was so much fun. He's one of my closest friends. And obviously we both have known each other for 30 years. And the feud we had in WCW was fantastic. We usually had the opening match on the pay-per-view, and our thoughts always were, let's steal the show, man. Let's have the best match on the card. And we would go down the power plant and work on our matches and our moves and things like that. We both become very improved in wrestling. I was one of the most improved wrestlers in the Pro Wrestling Illustrated voting, and he was also one of the best. And so we not only became great friends, but really challenged each other in the ring, outside the ring. And then after wrestling, with what he's doing to help people and what I'm doing to help people, it's just, he lives 20 minutes down the road from me. He just bought a new place in Florida, but he's half the year here. So we still challenge each other in his DDPY workouts and still killing each other, man, at our age, But getting back to the matches, I beat him for the money, I beat him for the girl, I beat him for the title. And our running joke is that, Dallas, there's 3 guys I probably wrestled more than anyone else in my whole career. The 3 guys were Diamond Dallas Page, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Triple H. And the joke we have with Dallas is that he never got to beat me. It never was in the cards for him to win one match out of all those matches we've had. Now, remember, people just see the pay-per-view or the television matches, but they don't realize we're wrestling each other almost every single night on the roads across the country, across the world, actually. So we had a lot of fun. And then when he was finally going to be able to beat me on the pay-per-view, I signed my contract with WWE and left. So unfortunately, he's still looking for that pinfall over me.
I was going to ask, because you did mention you wrestled Stone Cold Steve Austin so many times, and one of the more memorable ones was at the King of the Ring 1996, where Austin gets the, I think it's a jaw injury, and of course it's the night that everybody remembers for the Austin 316 promo. So kind of tell us your memories of that matchup, and was there any heat on you for Austin getting hurt in that match?
Oh, not at all. In fact, he credits me with him coming up with 316 only because of the fact that I kicked him in the mouth. He had to get I think it was 14 stitches. So because it delayed it, Jake was able to do a promo on him, and that's where it all started. But if I didn't kick him in the mouth, he never would have had time to come up with that and say that. That's what he told me. So, I'm going by what Steve's told me. I'm not making something up. And, I love working with him, man. He was a machine, and in the likes of Kurt Angle, he could go nonstop. So I always enjoyed working with him because I was always in pretty good shape in my, cardio and stuff. But working with Steve, and not only working with him, but learning so much from him and Triple H. I mean, guys that were just great ring generals out there, calling the matches as the heel and just following it. But also having to change on the fly when things don't go exactly what you hope or the crowd's not reacting a certain way. Those guys know how to change things up and really make it exciting for the audience.
So there's a match that's listed, and it's you against Jushin Thunder Liger as part of Great American Bash Tour that never aired. And I'm wondering, does footage exist of this and any memories of that match of working with Liger? Because I believe that's the only time you two have been in the ring.
Yeah, it's funny because when I was going to wrestle Jushin Thunder Liger, I was so excited about it because, he's kind of a high flyer, man, and I like the style and everything. But for some reason, whether it was the language barrier or whatever, we never really connected. I don't know why the match didn't air. It wasn't that bad, but I was thinking maybe it didn't air because it was horrible. But it was just not one of my more memorable matches that I think we wrestled to a draw. I can't even remember what the finish was.
Yeah, it's listed as a 16-minute time limit draw.
Yeah. So, but I just didn't think, and even when I went over to Japan, because you're in two separate parts of the building, that the dress rooms are separated, and they have a translator go back and forth and say, "Hey, this is what he'd like to do. What would you like to do?" And it kind of gets convoluted in the sense that it gets mixed up a little bit, or it isn't, and you can't really talk much in the ring because of the language barrier. So I always had trouble with the Japanese wrestlers, and it could have been my inexperience too. You know, being fairly green when I first went over there. Remember I never even signed my first contract until I was 31 years old. I started when I was 30, and I had a lot to learn. But later on, I obviously, and then also seeing Brian Pillman wrestle Jushin Thunder Liger was one of the greatest matches around at that time, So thinking, man, I want to do this also. But I think I made up for it when I wrestled Brian in, I believe it was Fall Brawl. Fall Brawl 95 was one of my most memorable matches with Brian. It was a 30-minute match on pay-per-view.
I wanted to ask you about the Johnny B. Bad character, because I wasn't like a WCW kid so much because I grew up in New York, but my grandmother used to watch like WWF in the morning and then would turn on WCW at 6:05 p.m. So you were one of the first wrestlers that I saw on WCW around like 1994, 1995. And I thought that Little Richard was based on you as a character, but then I figured out that later on it was the other way around. But how did you or WCW come up with that character? And did you have to watch a lot of like the mannerisms and see Little Richard to kind of get the cues the way that you did with the character?
Well, it was a Dusty Rhodes brainchild that I'll never forget. When I was doing jobs for WCW, trying to get into the business, after one of the matches, he said to me, "Hey, does anybody ever tell you look like Little Richard?" And I thought he was talking about a wrestler named Little Richard. And I said, "I never heard of the wrestler Little Richard." He goes, No, not the wrestler. He goes, "Wamp Bamba Loo Bamba Wamp Bamba," the singer, Little Richard. I go, "Oh, I never heard that before." He goes, "Oh, I think I got a gimmick for you." But it was really more so than watching. I did watch mannerisms of Little Richard, but it was Dusty Rhodes that really got it down, because he would meet me before the matches and show me how he wanted me to walk and talk and say this and say that. And I tell you, some of my fondest memories in wrestling was working with Dusty Rhodes. He was like my mentor, he was the guy that came up with the character. So I spent a lot of time with him. And some of the funniest moments were watching him be me being Little Richard. And because, you know how flamboyant Dusty Rhodes was, So he would, he'd say, "Now walk up to the microphone and say, 'I'm so pretty, I should have been born a little girl.'" And I get laughing because remember, here I am, a boxer from New York, coming in talking like I'm from Macon, Georgia, So we would have so much fun with that. And then he'd say, "Oh no, do it like this, do it like that." And then I'd get it down and he'd give me a big hug, and we'd have a lot of fun doing that. It was my favorite character, obviously. It's so different than who I am. So it was like playing a role every single night of this character that was so opposite me and talking like I'm from Macon, Georgia, "How's everybody doing? I'm so pretty," So it was a lot of fun.
As I mentioned, World War III, 1995. That was the first WCW event, first pay-per-view, first wrestling event I'd ever been to. And I always thought the World War III gimmick was like really cool. 3 rings and 60 people overall. And then you go to the Royal Rumble, where 30 people, timed entrances and everything. So I kind of want to get there's obviously big differences between the two, but I wanted from your perspective as someone who has been in both, like, what did you like about one thing maybe compared to the other, and what was something that may have been more difficult about one thing compared to the other?
The main thing about like the Royal Rumble is you just had to know when you were getting thrown out. Okay, so you knew the lineup. Like, let's say, for example, let me just say that Bob Holly and Dustin Rhodes were getting thrown out before me. Okay, so I'm constantly keeping my eye on those two guys, knowing that Bob Holly's going first, and then Dustin's going next. Then I know it's my turn, and so you got to be ready to know when you're going out and keep an eye on it while you're still pretending you're in the corner trying to throw somebody else out. Keep looking over your shoulder to see when they're getting thrown out, because you don't want to miss your cue, because then someone's depending on you being thrown out that they're after you. So it was just constantly being aware of where you are, or what who's getting thrown out, or when they're getting thrown out, or how they're getting thrown out. So you want to be kind of aware of that. So that was always kind of a little nerve-wracking sometime, except I think the time that Stone Cold came in and threw everybody out, it was like easy, you know, just get in line, you know.
I wanted to ask, because you've been in WCW in like the height of their run in the 90s, and WWF, like you said, you faced like Stone Cold and Hunter Assembly, Triple H. Who is the one guy that you wished you could have been in the ring with, whether it from your WCW run or WWF run, that you kind of like came close to or couldn't be able to be in the ring with them?
Well, there's a couple, and you know, I was so blessed that I've wrestled everybody. I mean, Sting, Rick Flair, Undertaker, Triple H. You know, the list goes on and on of all the guys that I got to work with that were amazing wrestlers. You know, Stone Cold, Steve Austin, Steve Regal, you name it, and I've been in the ring with them. But the guys that I didn't get to wrestle against, fortunately, I got to wrestle with as tag team partners, and that was Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, are two guys that I would have loved to work with. I think our styles would have really matched up well, and I think we could have had some really good matches. One of the matches I remember that I had a really good match with was Davey Boy Smith in South Africa that never got to air except over there, but it was a really great match, and beat him with the Wild Thing off the top rope until Owen Hart came in and hit me over the head with his cast. And of course, I won on disqualification. But matches like that were always a lot of fun. But I was just blessed to wrestle some of the greatest. And you know, and being in wrestling at that time, the Attitude Era. You know, here I am. I remember I wrestled against The Rock, you know, and you're looking in the dressing room. There's The Rock, there's Stone Cold, there's Triple H, there's Undertaker. You know, it's like amazing to be in wrestling at that time, because there's still kind of household names in the wrestling community.
What was your experience like with New Japan? Because I think when people maybe see the Johnny B. Bad character, it's like, oh, I don't know how that's going to fully translate to the New Japan style. So what was that tour like?
They really enjoyed the confetti gun and the throwing the frisbees and all the gimmicks. You know, I try to make my entrance longer than my match, so I didn't have to memorize a lot. But the Japanese fans were great. They're just different than American fans. You know, they would cheer if you made it to the rope, where American fans are like, oh gosh, you know, it's not a big deal. They're big on false finishes, and very quiet audience, though, compared to the American audience. But once they find out what room you're in at a hotel, man, I'll tell you something. They're relentless to get an autograph, or if they caught some of your. I used to shoot out these what they call the bad bucks. Well, people don't realize that on television, when I shot my confetti gun, I put real money in there, so people would go crazy trying to find it. But then when I would go to arenas, I had fake money printed with a picture of me, Johnny B. Bad, on it, $1,000 bill, and it says, "In Johnny we trust." I shoot that out. So they would collect all this confetti and stuff, and they wanted me to sign it, you know, or whoever caught the frisbees would want me to sign it. So great fans. I mean, it was a lot of blessed to have done that. You know, again, one of those things where you look back on your life, you said, I'm so glad I got to go all over the world, you know. Many trips to Europe, South Africa, Southeast Asia, been everywhere, done everything. I mean, with Delta Airlines alone, I have 1.5 million miles with them. Just one airlines, you know, and not considering all the other airlines that I've flown. So a lot of travel.
I wanted to ask you because, like you said, you've enjoyed your time as Johnny B. Bad, and I saw you there in WCW, and then saw you transition to WWF, becoming the Wild Man. But one of my favorite times of your career is when you were probably, in my eyes, the most underrated heel in WWE during the whole storyline with Sable. So, how was that kind of experience, changing it up after so long of being a babyface and becoming such a hated heel in the business?
Oh my gosh, that was so much fun to do that. I mean, we were Sable and I were married at the time, and we would come up with ideas to just hate me more and more, and just always putting her over. It's like always slipping on the banana peel type thing. Dress her up in a potato sack, and she comes out and rips it off, and she's got a string bikini on. So every time we would do it, and Vince Russo was so instrumental in that too, because we'd be talking to Vince Russo all the time about things we could do and what we can't do, and we were really pushing the envelope. And especially when we did the pay-per-view where we did the painted hands on her boobs, and so I remember Vince Russo coming in the dressing room, and we said, well, can we do this? And he goes, oh my gosh, he goes, I got to run this one by Vince. Of course, Vince was like, damn, we are really pushing the envelope, but go for it, So we had a lot of fun doing that. Obviously, the more heat I would get, but it also, was building me up as this heel that I was going to eventually work with Stone Cold Steve Austin. And because of the fact of getting her over so much and letting her power bomb me and kind of beat me up a little bit, it ruined my chances of working with Stone Cold, because he didn't want the perception of, if a girl can beat this guy up, why would I want to be in the ring with him? Which I could totally understand now, but at the time, man, she's making more and more money. Her merchandise is selling like second to Stone Cold. So why getting at least one of us was over major, and I'm getting a guaranteed contract at the time. So I'm making the same money whether I win or lose or whatever happens to me.
The shooting star press, you have, for my money, the prettiest shooting star press in wrestling history. And I know you're still doing it off the boat and everything. I've seen the videos. I've seen it.
Yeah, I know, brother. I got to tell you, I turned 65 in 2 months, and I don't know when I'll stop. I don't know. I just my body hasn't caught up to my mind. My mind is still thinking that I can still do these things, but so far I still can. But my brother's got this 2-story dock at his lake house, and we go there. We're there all summer. So when it's time around my birthday, let's go, man! Time to do the wild thing, the Mero salt, the double back flips or whatever we're doing. Yeah, but thank you for that. I appreciate that. The shooting star press, it was really see, when I first got to WWE, I didn't really have a finishing move, because remember, WCW, I'm doing the Tutti Frutti, kick your booty with my Tutti Frutti, and of course it's a punch, and you really got to come up with something different. So I wanted to come up with something really unique that was different. And when I was in Japan, I think it was Jushin Liger, saw do a shooting star press. It was one of the wrestlers. I can't remember who it was, but I thought that was Jushin Liger. But I remember thinking, man, it'd be really cool to do that. And I've always been a really good diver on diving boards. I could do 1.5s and 2s and stuff. So here I am thinking, and it's really nothing but a full gainer is what it's called when in gymnastics or whatever. But in gymnastics, you land on your feet. So I had my daughter Mariah enrolled in gymnastics, so I would take her gymnastics when I was off the road. And I remember going to her gymnastics school, and I said to their coach, I said, hey, while the kids are doing their calisthenics and stuff, can I use the pommel horse and a crash pad and practice a move I want to do in wrestling? And of course they said, sure, go right ahead. So here I am on the pommel horse. Now, remember, in gymnastics, you do a flip or a double. You land on your feet and you put your hands up, Now, here I am jumping off this thing and landing on my stomach. And now the kids are all starting to catch wind of this, and they're all staring at me going, to my daughter, what's wrong with your dad? He doesn't know how to land. And they're all laughing. But I'm like, yes, I got it, man. This guy's nuts. But anyways, I finally got it down. Because remember, you want to land with your hands and your knees and let your chest hit the guy's chest and not hurt him, because it's a lot of momentum coming off the top. And I'm 225 pounds, So I finally got it down. And the first pay-per-view we had coming up was SummerSlam. I never did it to a person in my life. I'm wrestling Dustin Rhodes, Goldust, at SummerSlam. And I said to Dustin, took him to the ring beforehand, and I said, listen, I want to try a new move today if you're okay with it. And he said, well, what is it? I go, I'm going to Samoan drop you near the corner. I'm going to go to the top. I'm going to do a reverse flip and land on you. And he looks at me, he goes, what? He goes, how are you going to land? I said, well, we're going to hit chest to chest. He goes, don't tell me no more, just go for it. And of course, I did it in the ring. And it was the first time I ever did it, ever on a person, other than the pommel horse. I never even did it on a person at the gymnastic thing. I always landed on my stomach on the pommel horse. But it was the first time ever, and of all times, picked SummerSlam to do it with. Thank God, goodness, Dustin didn't mind it. And he was just such a good hand anyways, man. What a great guy he is.
So real quickly, SP3, your shooting star press, when you do it off of the boat, off the dock, it's something running from a kid. It's something I look forward to every single year. I don't know if you know the basketball player Marcus Johnson. He was in White Men Can't Jump. He was, if you've ever seen that movie.
I seen the movie, but I don't remember. I mean, obviously he was one of the leads then, wasn't he?
No. He is the guy who was going to get his gun after they get
hustled. Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah, he's an NBA Hall of Famer. Every year he posts a video of himself dunking. He's 69 years old. He's like 69, can still dunk. So you, to me, are like equivalent to that. Like every year I look forward to when you're doing the shooting star press because I think of Marcus Johnson always wanting to do the dunk every year. So I thought I would just let you in.
You know what's funny about that, Jeremy, is that every year that dock seems to get higher and higher. It's the same height, but I mean, I walk over and then I watch all these little kids that we have, our grandkids and nephews and nieces. They just like run out like little kids. They don't care, they're not afraid of nothing. And I get up there and it's like, oh my gosh, especially doing like the wild thing is a little easier because I still got strong legs and I can throw myself up and flip and land on my feet. Because remember, you don't want to land on the water like you're landing on a wrestler. But the Mero salt is a little trickier because you jump, turn in mid-air, hit it, and if you over-rotate, then you can really hurt yourself. And it's we have a depth finder anyway, so every year we take our boat out and we use a depth finder because a lot of debris can float in, like tree branches or something that you don't know are there. And when you jump that from that height, you're going in 8 or 10 feet into the water, so you don't want to hit anything. So we always use a depth finder, but we hire a crew, scuba crew that actually go in there and they pull out any debris or anything that might have floated in over the winter. Just to be safe, because we got a lot of kids jumping out there too. So we want to be safe. But the water's like, 20 feet deep right there. So it's usually never a problem.
So this is, I would be amiss if I didn't ask this question, because a couple of years ago, you kind of told me that Santa Claus isn't real. Because like I said, when I was growing up, 6:05 p.m. Eastern time, my grandmother would put on WCW Saturday Night, and you were her favorite wrestler. Why? Because she was like, you got this black brother, he's here, he's doing great on there. And then I found out that you are not African American. So I wanted to ask you, when did you realize that the fans thought you deserved a plate at the
Brother, I got so many funny stories about this, because I tell you, I love the brothers, man. I tell you that the African American community was some of my biggest fans, So obviously they thought, and obviously I was tanned all the time, anyways, not like I am right now, but I always stayed in the sun or go to sunbeds or whatever, and I get really dark, anyways, And I'll never forget that. What happened was back in the early '90s, there was a discrepancy between African Americans' pay and Caucasian pay. And they had a news crew coming and they wanted to find out, they said, Johnny, are you black or are you white? Because there's a big controversy about it, And I said, am I black or am I white? What kind of question is that? All you need to know is I'm a bad man. And I would just use that, But the funny thing is I recently seen blackwrestling.com or one of those websites. They had the top Black Intercontinental Champions. They had me on there. So I wrote them a really nice thing going, listen, I so appreciate this honor, but I just got to tell you, I'm not an African-American. And then the comments were so funny because they go, you just ruined my childhood, you know. Oh, but I mean, I tell you, it's because, you know, obviously being associated with Little Richard, and it was just, I was blessed. I was blessed to have that character, to have that fun, and even going to like senior citizens' homes. I did a lot of community work with Johnny B. Bad character, and I go to the senior citizens' homes, and a lot of times they were, you know, African American senior citizens' home, and they just embraced me and loved on me, and I don't know, just. I wish more people in the world could be like that just, you know, love each other, man. Just, it's so important. I think John B. Bad, the character, was really about love and giving back. And, you know, and it's really kind of how I've always been. Now after wrestling, you know, this is my 18th year speaking at schools, churches, and corporations all over the world. I mean, when people think, I mean, after wrestling, I have averaged 230 events a year going everywhere. You know, I spoke at schools in Guatemala. I spoke at schools in Russia. I mean, you can get into Russia now, and I would speak at schools in Russia. And it's the same reaction as here in the United States. The kids want hope, man. Kids just want to feel like they're loved, that someone cares, and that there's hope. You know, and we live in a really tough world, and this smartphone has outsmarted us, guys. It really has. It's really sad how people are so committed to what other people think about them or what people say about them, as opposed to believing in themselves. You know, you have no idea the power you give yourself when you believe in you. And that's what I try to bring to schools is hope, and to follow your dreams, your goals, pursue it. I mean, how many things on social media, success stories, are we going to watch on social media before we go out there and make our own? They're no different than us. You know, I mean, you either build your own dreams or you work for someone to build theirs. And I often tell people, how bad do you want it, man?
Getting to the book, I want to know sort of what the process was of putting the book together, writing the book, and kind of how you found it.
Well, you know, Ben Veal is my co-writer, and he's an award-winning writer. He's just an amazing guy, amazing friend. Well, I was over in the UK doing an autograph session a little over a year ago, and I met him there, and we got talking. He goes, and he really wanted to write my story, and I've always wanted to do an autobiography. I wrote my first book, How to Be the Happiest Person on the Planet, back in 2004, I think it was. Yeah, 14. It was a long time ago. 2008, 2010. I wrote that book. So 2010. So you're talking 14 years ago. I wrote my last book. I've always wanted to do an autobiography. And we started, you know, working together, and we started, because he lives in England and I live here. So we would do Zoom calls. We'd speak for over an hour, and I would tell him a story. And when he wrote the story and I read it back, I go, oh my gosh, I couldn't put that into words better. And I shared some really deep, dark secrets about my life and things I went through that I never thought I would share, but I wanted to, only because, guys, we all go through adversity, man. We all go through situations in our hearts that we've gone through, our broken heart, loss of a loved one, a divorce, all these things that I've experienced in my life that, man, if I could share my story and give someone else hope that there is light after the darkness, man, you know, our current trials can be our future testimony. And that's what I wanted this book to be. Not only share my stories about what I went through and what I was thinking and the hardships I went through, but I wanted to give people hope and to know that they're not alone, they matter, and that life can get better, and it will get better. You have to believe that.
What's been the feedback so far from the people that have read the book to you?
You know, CP3, it's been amazing. I've been blown away by it. I mean, we got almost all 5-star reviews on Amazon, and I mean, it's a fairly thick book. I mean, you know, this book, it's almost 400 pages, so I share a lot of personal stories in it. From everything from my drug dealing days to my giving my life to God, to becoming an ordained minister. In fact, today is the anniversary of me becoming an ordained minister 12 years ago. So there's so much ups and downs in my life, man, and I just want to continue going up. But we all go through the valleys. No matter how good your life is, we go through valleys, man. You know, and things unexpectedly happen in life. And it's about, it's not so much about your circumstance or situation. It's how we respond to it that makes all the difference. And I've learned to have a whole different response to adverse situations because we're all going to go through trials in life, man. Life's not easy. And I tell it to students. You guys don't realize that life is not easy and you're going to go through some hard times, but it's overcoming those adversities that really make you special in life.
So before we let you go, Mark, we play a game here on the channel. It's called Partner Promo Punch in the Face. I'm going to give you 3 names. You're going to pick 1 to partner with, 1 to have a promo battle with, and 1 to punch in the face or have a match with.
If I pick promo, do I have to give a promo?
Yeah, you can do the Johnny B. Bad character. You can do the Marc Mero character. Whatever character you
want
to do.
Okay. I'll do this Johnny B. Bad. Okay.
Oh no, you don't have to do the promo now if you want to.
Okay.
We've actually never had it.
No, go ahead. Okay, so it's promo, punch in the face. What's the other one?
Partner,
promo, punch in the face. Okay, got it. Let's go.
Yeah, if you want to cut a promo on this person, you'd be the first person to do it. So
I'm starting a whole new thing on your program, guys.
That would be something. You know what? We got to start getting people to cut promos on people now. If whoever they pick promo.
He just blew up the whole game.
I know,
man.
3 names you're very familiar with: Diamond Dallas Page, Steve Austin, and Triple H.
Okay. Which one do we do first? Does it matter?
Oh no! Whoever, again, you can pick one.
You can choose one to partner with,
yeah.
1 to do a promo against, and then 1 to punch in the face. Have a match with.
Oh,
whichever order you want.
Man, I got to go with one of my closest friends, Diamond Dallas Page. I want to partner with him because we have, in some crazy ways, have partnered. A quick story about Diamond Dallas Page is that when I used to live in Florida for 25 years, and now I live 20 minutes down the road from DDP. And when I used to live in Florida, when I'd come into Atlanta to speak at schools, I would stay at DDP's home. So, DDP had he has the DDPY. He has a whole film crew. He has a lot of employees, So when I was doing schools near him, he said, "Hey, do you mind if the guys come out and film you?" And I get photo and video releases from each school I speak at. So I said, sure, they're welcome to come. So he has his film crew go down and film me at one of the schools. And a few days later, Dallas calls me up and he says, "Hey, bro," he goes, "these guys put together like this 5-minute video of you talking about your mom. Do you mind if we put it on YouTube?" He goes, "You never know, it might go viral." Sure enough, that thing blew up, millions and millions and millions of views. And not only that, when it went up, my first month, we had 3,000 booking requests to speak at schools, churches, and corporations all over the world. It blew up, and my company blew up, and I've been doing that ever since. But I got to give credit, and that's why I partnered with DDP, the most positive guy I know, other than myself, is just a light in this dark world, man. And because of him filming that video, and I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, it's about a mother's love, and it's just gone viral. But I share it at schools, at every school I go to.
All right, so you're gonna partner with DDP. You got to either punch Triple H or do a promo with Triple H, and then the other one will be Steve Austin.
Okay. I got to punch Triple H in the face. I hate to say it. For some reason, he never really liked me. I don't know why, but we always had good matches too. But I just think that there's maybe some animosity when I left, or when I first signed with WWE. Remember, I was the first one to get a guaranteed contract, and I didn't sit well with a lot of the guys. And I'm so proud of what he has done with wrestling, not just himself becoming a multi-time world champion. In fact, his first belt he ever won was off of me. It was the Intercontinental title, was his first one. But just to put away the animosity, let me punch you in the face. Let's become friends, man. Okay.
I still haven't forgiven Mr. Perfect for helping him win that.
There you go.
I don't remember that.
And he hit me, and Perfect hit me with a pretty good chair shot too.
Yeah.
thinking I'm going to go into a program with Mr. Perfect. I was the happiest guy to get hit by that chair. And of course, he jumped ship and goes to WCW. So that ended that.
And then promo against Austin.
Stone Cold Steve Austin. Oh my God. I got to do a promo on Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold Steve Austin, probably one of the greatest that ever laced his boots. I mean, he should be on the Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling. But if you remember when you were stunning Steve, we had a tuxedo match. That's right. You remember that, Steve? A tuxedo match. And the idea of a tuxedo match is you have to rip off the other person's clothes. I remember when you and I were sitting in the dressing room talking about our match, thinking we got to tear off each other's clothes. We both look like, what the hell did we get ourselves into? I'll never forget that day, Steve. I'm so proud of you for what you have accomplished in your life, man. You're one of the best, and I was honored to share the squared circle with you. Even though I beat you a lot of times for that U.S. title, I never got the belt because you always went on disqualification, you son of a gun. But I did get to beat you for the Intercontinental title when I won it. You were one of the guys I beat. I got to beat you, Owen Hart, and Ron Simmons to win the title. So thank you for that, buddy. You always did business. You did business right.
It's pointed out to us in the chat that you wrestled Triple H 75 times in a 10-month span. That's absurd.
It is. And you know what? I tell you, I was 76 times. I probably won, I would guess around 50 of those. I'm guessing. Okay. Does it have a record of that or no?
Yeah. Let me. I will check and see. I gotta pull it up as Hunter Hearst Helmsley. When he was the champion, you won a lot by DQ when he was the champion,
right?
And it's close early or late, but early. Oh yeah, you destroyed him early. Like all of 1996, I don't think he beat you at all. It's not until you get kind of into late 1996 that he starts winning. Fightful
really keeps some amazing records here. I didn't really know this.
Shout out to Cage Match. I'm on Cage Match right now. Cage Match is the keeper of all of this.
I always enjoyed wrestling Triple H, though, man. What a talent he is. The guys that I learned from, man, like Triple H, Steve Regal, Stone Cold, guys that I got to wrestle over and over again were just DDP. The list goes on and on. Brian Pillman, man, so many guys that I learned a lot from in the ring. Arn Anderson, my gosh, he was so much fun to wrestle.
I have to ask about the Arn Anderson match, the boxer versus wrestler match, which is an insane concept. But what was it like putting that together?
All the credit to Arn Anderson. I tell you, he could be the most underrated wrestler out there. I know he's great, and everybody knows. Anyone that worked with him knows how great he is. But I don't think he ever got the due he deserves as one of the best. Really, one of the best. I mean, obviously, we're doing. I'm wrestling, fighting him I got gloves on, and he's wrestling me, and we had to come up with a concept that would look halfway decent. And for somehow we made it work, and he got a bucket put over his head. I hit him with the Tutti Frutti and got the win. But if you watch that match back, the way his head spins around with that bucket on, it was so funny. And he took some really good shots. I mean, when I first worked with Rhett, I actually shared this story in my book too. When I first got to work with Arn, they put me on the road with him because they wanted to teach me. Remember, I'm green. I signed the contract. I only had like 3 or 4 matches in my whole life. You know what I mean? I mean, I was so green. And they put me on the road with Arn at one point to teach me. And I remember Arn, he was one of the funniest guys in the locker room too. I mean, he had a sense of humor that was just the best because he was one of those straight men that he would not laugh at his own jokes. He'd say, "Man, Johnny B. Bad doesn't know the difference between a wrist lock and a wristwatch," And he always had funny lines about me. And I remember, and I shared this one too in my book, was that I think it was Nick Patrick was our referee, and when the referee separates you, he's kind of third man in the ring that tells you what the next spot would be from the other wrestler. And he said, "Arn told me to tell you, punch him in the face as hard as you can." And I thought, why would he say that? I go, what does he mean? He goes, "He told me to tell you your working punch is killing him." So he just wanted to get it over with, Anyways, guys, I tell you, there was some great memories in wrestling, and I just noticed my battery's about to run out here on my computer. I hope I gave you guys enough time today.
Oh,
Yes,
we
of
appreciate it. Kenny said 30 to 40 minutes, so we appreciate that we've gone a little bit over that. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, you guys are a lot of fun, man. Thank you for having me on your show, and please, anyone that has not gotten my book, Bad to Good, please go to Amazon.com and order it. You'll be thrilled to read it. It's a people that have read it said that they picked it up, they couldn't put it down. So check it out. A lot of good stories in there. And I just want to bring hope to people that have gone through some hard times, just like we all do.
And anywhere else anybody can find you at, Mark. Please promote anything you have to promote.
You know what? Go to my my YouTube channel, youtube.com, the Marc Mero, or just type in Marc Mero, and I'm over on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or X. I'm all over the place. Just type in my name, you'll find me. And if you write to me, I'll do my absolute best to get back to you.
There you go. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for
so much. All right, guys.
Thank you for your time today. Thank you.
You guys are awesome, man. Thank you. I'd love to do it again sometime.
For sure. We appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye.
There you go, everybody. Marc Mero joining the show. That was a lot of fun. That was so much fun. Mark was great. I wasn't sure. Again, I didn't want to fully promote because I didn't get a confirmation when I sent the email out the other day, so I wasn't totally sure, but he was there. He was there at on time at 11 o'clock. So we appreciate Mark. Thank you again to Kenny McIntosh from Inside the Ropes. They did the UK tour and everything, and Kenny was the one who reached out and kind of set things up. So always fun. When I tell my wife the guests we get on the show and everything, I was like, we got I think this week. It's like Marc Mero. She's like, that fucking rules. That's great.
Be the first thing I tell my missus when I get off of here. I got to talk to Marc Mero and ask him about being recognized as a black wrestler. That's
dude, that was hilarious.
This week has been like my highlight as doing wrestling media between Becky and this.
That was so funny. Now we got to review Dynamite still. What are we talking about here?
It's like how can we follow that with Dynamite?
You mentioned the Hangman page, Will Ospreay stuff. I'm just gonna add to that. As I said on the show yesterday, I thought we were gonna get a Will Ospreay Hangman team within the next week, and we are getting them next week against the Don Callis family. So I figured that would be where they would go just based on the personalities involved. And look, that's going to be a great match next week. So looking forward to that. And I think Ospreay's winning at Double or Nothing. I think you gotta go with this guy. And I think that sucks for Hangman, but Will Ospreay is the guy right now. It just is.
Yeah.
It just is. So I didn't like the backstage segment with MJF. So I'll preface this. I didn't mind it when MJF interrupts and they do a little back and forth. Like, that was fun. The catchphrase thing annoyed me. That's where I didn't like this segment. When MJF, he's got to hit his catchphrase of, "You're not on the level of the devil," and Ospreay pulls him back. He's like, "I'm on another level."
No, you got to. I'm on another level. I was like, why are they whispering?
I was like, this Miz ass catchphrase stuff in this backstage segment. Like, that's what annoyed me about the segment. Is it felt like they had to get in their catchphrases, and not to compare it to WWE, but to compare it to WWE. It came off very like, let me just hit my catchphrase. And that's the part I didn't like about this. Everything else was fine. That was fine. But yeah,
I just like the interactions of like these top stars like Ospreay and Hangman and MJF interrupting Hangman, interrupting Ospreay, the references to their past, and the fact that he brought up the easy dub, which he said after the near 60-minute matchup, and he had the oxygen. It gave me the callback to that from last year, which is one of the best MJF moments since his return last year. Is easy dub. So that gave me the callback that year, and then him also bringing bringing up his win at Wembley Stadium and how does your arm feel after that? Do you still have feeling in your arm? I like that type of stuff. I like the fact that when you have guys like MJF mixing it up with Ospreay or mixing it up with Hangman, and then Hangman and Will, and then you got the Don Callis family with all of their top stars, it really feels like Jon Moxley is the weakest part of the main event scene of AEW. It's like everybody else interacting with each other feels much bigger than the actual AEW World Champion, which just pops me every single time.
Well, I mean, he's gonna hold that title at least till All In, so you know.
I agree with the Fightful YouTube. You need a catchphrase. I got a catchphrase.
So I don't know if it is Sean or Kate at this point. So here's a behind the scenes. Sean texted me in the middle of the interview and said Mero wrestled Triple H 75 times. And then he put it in the chat. So I assumed that comment was Sean. But I also know Kate likes to post from the account. So and maybe Kate fed the information to Sean, then Sean texted me, and now did she post it? I have no idea. Multiple people.
They're interacting on one account. Like they're interacting with each other.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's Kate for that one, but I know Sean was on it earlier. At least I'm of the belief he was on it earlier. I don't need a catchphrase. I don't want a catchphrase.
You should have a catchphrase. I'm just saying, like, you know. I think it will help you. It'll help you relate to these wrestlers and their promo exchanges. But yeah, thought that was great. I love the trios tag, which they've now done this. What has it been? 3 weeks in a row of the PWG style tag team trios or 8-man tags. And this was a fun one only because I love the combination of the Young Bucks and Ricochet. They just work together. I really want Ricochet at the once again, I'm gonna be like how we were with Harley Cameron and Mercedes. Just put Ricochet in the Elite. Come on, at this point, just do it. Just do it. He would fit with the Elite.
Yeah. You can replace Kenny. I guess Okada's technically the Kenny replacement. Where's Jack Perry?
Jack Perry. Yeah, no.
Remember him?
Jack Perry never fit in this whole... It never made sense for Jack Perry, other than them both being from California. It never made sense for the scapegoat character to be involved with the EVPs. That never made any sense. Ricochet joining the Elite and being this cocky high flyer like the Young Bucks are, that makes sense.
And Jack Perry could have made sense. They fumbled it. They vanilla fumbled their Jack Perry stuff.
Fumbled.
Yeah,
that's what we call when you put Jack Perry in the but yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was probably my favorite match of the night, even though the Kazuchika Okada versus Kevin Knight matchup was way better than it had any right to be. Like, it actually gave me like shades of Okada's work against all the young boys in New Japan in his final year in New Japan, with him going against LA Dojo Graduate. And I like the story of Kevin Knight being beaten down before the matchup and showing that fire, showing a gutsy performance against the Continental Champion, coming close to a victory before losing out to Okada hitting the Rainmakers. And I like them actually doing kind of a write-off for Kevin Knight with the post-match attack before he goes to Japan for Best of Super Juniors.
They got to stop. Kevin Knight just put this on social media, so it's not fully on AEW. They got to stop with I want the old Okada. I don't want the half-ass Okada. This is what Kevin Knight put on Twitter before the match, but this is every single Okada thing. Buddy Matthews did it. Brody King did it. Daniel Garcia did it. Every single time Okada wrestles. It's like, I want to face the old Okada. It's like, how many times can we go to this? How many times can we do this?
Go to that well too many times.
I want, and it should be Orange Cassidy, but other people could do it. I want someone to be like, I want this new Okada. I want the dude who says bitch. Let's just have a lazy match.
Exactly. Why wouldn't you want the easy matchup? The comedy Okada. Why wouldn't you want that?
Yeah. Give me this dude who doesn't care. Let's do that instead. Claudio was another one who was like, I need the old Okada. Like, okay. All right. We get it. Maybe he's not that guy in AEW. But I don't like that they keep going to it, and it's like a constant reminder of he has had good AEW matches. But when they keep
he's had fantastic AEW matches, like the Ospreay match at World's End.
Right, but when they keep saying like I want the New Japan Okada, I want the G1 Okada, it makes you think that he hasn't had good matches in AEW. Yeah. It's just like, oh, okay, that's the guy that I want. Like, he still won every match for the past year. So what does it say about everybody else that they're not getting the old Okada and he's still beating all your asses?
Look, he says y'all are kind of trash, aren't y'all?
I like that. Like, give me the TNA Okada. Where's that?
Yeah, that should be what Orange Cassidy says. I want the old Okada. No, not the New Japan one. I want the TNA Okada. Give me the Green Hornet.
Give me that guy. That's what they should go with moving forward instead of this. Oh, I want the New Japan G1 Okada. Nah, don't give me that dude at all.
I also like the other eliminator match on the show, the 4-way women's one, even though I really feel like it was a mistake not having someone else win the matchup. You could have Tony lose that matchup without losing and set up somebody to face her at Double or Nothing. Because I thought really this episode was going to give us a little bit more matches for Double or Nothing, but no. We got more matches for next week than we got for the actual pay-per-view that is now 3 weeks away.
Yeah, I was very surprised that Tony Storm won this match. I figured it was going to be somebody gets a pin on not Tony Storm to set up the Double or Nothing match. Like, no, Tony Storm just.
I thought Thunder Rosa would win. It would just make sense because they were playing it up like they were friends, the Thunder Tits. They even did their little handshake at the end, which was cute. I like the fact that they're just now officially friends. They're officially partners. Thunder Tits is here to stay. But I would have liked if Rosa won the matchup to set up Thunder Tits collide at a Double or Nothing.
Maybe they'll get there. I mean, they still got a few weeks. Maybe Thunder Rosa will face Anna Jay or something next week in a number 1 contenders match, and that's how they get there. Because they got to have Tony Storm facing somebody at Double or Nothing, right? She can't just be. I assume she'll be on commentary for Jamie and Mercedes, but it feels like she should also have a match because otherwise, unless you're doing Willow and Stat running it back after tonight's match, but you got to have a second women's match on the show. You can't go with just one.
Yeah. I really felt like it was going to be somebody winning that match. But yeah, I wouldn't mind if the winner of Willow and Chris gets an opportunity at Double or Nothing either. Because I expect Chris Statlander to get the win because they did start off that promo by bringing up that Willow still has this long-term story with the Death Riders. So I think that Marina Shafir will be the reason why Chris Statlander gets the win tonight. But you never know with AEW. You never know.
Yeah. We'll see. MJF hurts people. He hurt Top Flight. Okay. I don't care about Top Flight. I don't care.
I don't care either. Like, they're talking, and I feel so bad because I was like, I used to like these guys so much, and I thought they had a real big future. But all I see when they start talking, I was like, y'all are a less charismatic private party.
They just lost to
Yes.
Crew. And they even came out and they're like, I know we've been on a losing streak. Yeah, you just lost to a team who also doesn't win at all. MJF should come out and hurt you and take you out. Here's the thing: there's no reason to buy into Top Flight. No. Remember they tried to stand up for AEW during the start of the Death Riders stuff, and how'd that work out for them?
They got punked out. They got punked out just like everybody else seems to get punked out with the Death Riders.
So they're coming out here and they're trying to stand up to the Hurt Syndicate, and MJF beats them up. I'm supposed to think that now they're going to show some fire and they're going to get one over on MJF or the Hurt Syndicate. Dude, I feel like MJF would beat both of these dudes in a handicap match. I don't have any belief in Top Flight.
Yeah. Do you think we get Cedric Alexander next week, or is MJF going to join the Hurt Syndicate?
I think we get Cedric. I would like to see MJF join in the Hurt Syndicate just to see like what that pairing looks like, because I think it could be, you could do some interesting stuff with it. My expectation is Cedric though.
Yeah. That's what I said too. I was like, they only got one more week before he's done with his non-compete. Or just, I think it's like he's done with his non-compete on Friday. So yeah, so it makes sense that they set it up for next week. Like I said, next week is stacked. It has a. I would probably say it has a better card than Double or Nothing, but the two matches that they do have announced for Double or Nothing are gonna be both spectacular. So I like Jamie Hayter's promo on the show as well. I thought she did really well, kind of talking about Mercedes underestimating her. I like the brawl that they did, and I like the fact that Mercedes basically played off of the last time that they interacted, where she ran away in her high heels, but this time she didn't have high heels on, so she came back and attacked Jamie from behind.
I like the brawl that they had in the venue as well. Like it was a good use of the venue, and it's cool when they use these venues like that, and they should when they have something different and a unique setup. So yeah, that was good stuff. People mentioning the spider that came down during the women's match, the red spider that appeared in the corner of the screen. So Fightful Select reported it last week. AEW teased it this week, and the deal is done. Thekla is coming to AEW. Fightful Select has learned that after planning her move to the United States for quite some time, she has agreed to terms with All Elite Wrestling and officially signed. The deal was in the works for quite a while. Okay, and they teased it on Dynamite with the red spider coming down, known as the Toxic Spider. We will see when the debut comes. I saw someone mention in the chat about maybe she answers the open challenge at Double or Nothing. I don't know if you want to beat her on her first night in, but that's a possibility.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't do that. I would want to kind of build her up for a big spot. Maybe have her debut on the Dynamite after Double or Nothing. Yeah, see in the chat, Cedric is a free agent today. I did see that tweet where he said his free agency is officially underway. So yeah, but yeah, Thekla, I think is a good signing. I think that she's been like really kind of established herself as a good character worker in her time in Stardom, and her promo work had gotten really strong and really kind of separated her from the pack. Whereas, she was in a group with Julia for a while, and Julia was in the spotlight. And then once Julia left Stardom, I think she was able to kind of break out as her own character. Hasn't always been the most liked from the Joshi community from what I've seen, but I think that she would work a lot better, I think, even than what she did in Stardom on a American wrestling promotion, American TV wrestling promotion as well. I think that she can add some depth to the women's division, and I just want the rotation to improve a little bit more. I know Kate had been talking about like how they've been doing better with rotating people, but I think that's slowed down in the last month or so, where they only feature like a couple of people. Like you'll see Megan Bain, you'll see your Penelope Ford, your Anna Jays, your Harley Camerons, Timeless Toni Storm, Mercedes, but they haven't been shuffling in like Willow and Chris Statlander. I really feel like he made Tony made Willow and Statlander for tonight because he heard everybody talking crap about the fact that it's been like since March that Willow had a singles match on AEW television. It was just him being like, all right, guys, all right, see, I'll let her wrestle. See, I'm a good guy. But yeah, I think that he needs to get better and needs to give them stories that he can tell week to week. I think Jimmy on last week's AEW, he made a good point. Like when you think about your top 20 people in AEW, it's like 8 to 9 to 10 of them is the woman. So the women should be getting a higher percentage of the TV time than what they do. The one match, that's one thing, but we need more segments. And last night was a good example that you can do that. Because, you had the women's four-way. You also had Jamie and Mercedes and their promo and brawl. You had the backstage promo with Willow Nightingale involved. So you had 3 segments. So that's a step in the right direction, but we need more. They need like 4 to 5 segments per episode. And usually you get that a little bit more on Collision, but we need that more often on Dynamite. They should be having at least, I'm not even going to go as far as to say 50, which they should be getting 50% of the TV time, but I'm just willing to be satisfied with 40%. Give them 40% of the TV time, because you have Timeless Tony Storm, who's probably the most over star in the entire company. Mercedes Moné, who's a big, huge star, who has name value, who is one of the better wrestlers in your promotion. Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale are two of the best total packages in all of women's wrestling. Megan Bayne is an absolute star and a beast. Harley Cameron is the most entertaining person in all of AEW. She even gave us an entertainment talking segment with Anna Jay, where they just talked about what TNA stands for: tenacity and aggression and tits and ass, and that was the most entertaining that Hannah Jay has ever been. Anna Jay is very much improved. Penelope Ford has been getting more TV time, and she's getting better in the ring as well. You got so much talent. Jamie Hayter had a great promo, and she's going to be in a big match on Double or Nothing. We need more from her as well. You were doing well with Billy Starks being on AEW television, and she was slowly but surely getting over with the fans. You have Athena, where the hell has she been since that Instant Classic with Mercedes Moné? Like, we need to see these women at least on Dynamite or Collision every single week. Give us more percentage of the show. I just named 11 women that I would probably put in the top 25 of AEW, and I could probably think of more. You need to do more with them.
Is Athena on ROH still? Does she show up?
I mean, man, ROH is the Dustin Rhodes promotion. That's all, man.
Just wait until he wins the title later this year.
Oh God, he's probably gonna do it at Super Card of Honor, right? If Jericho was still champion, I was pretty sure they were gonna do Dustin versus Jericho.
They're gonna get there. They're gonna get there. Trust me. They just are.
No, I think Athena did not wrestle on last week's ROH TV. I'm pretty sure of that. I did watch last week's ROH TV. So, no.
I know Deanna Perez is wrestling on this week's episode.
This week, yeah.
So
I'm happy. Make that the Deanna plays, man. Give us some shine. Like Taya made the most of her time in Ring of Honor, and that was supposed to give her an opportunity on AEW TV with Deanna, but y'all never followed through with the whole vendetta. But hey, make it her spot. She's a good pick to be the first ROH women's pure champ. You know, I got heat when I commented that Ring of Honor does not need a third women's championship. Like, you're not even doing well with the 2 women's championships that you already had. Why do you need a third? You don't have a standalone roster for Ring of Honor. What the hell do you need a third title for Ring of Honor?
I disagree with this. I would go in the completely opposite direction. So everybody's saying I would fix ROH and give me the pencil to ROH. Yes, factual. I'd have 20 titles in the promotion. But here's the thing, SP3. 20 titles, but they're all of different sizes. So like you got your big world title and it's like 20 pounds of gold. Fuck your 10 pounds, 20 pounds of gold. It's the giant like New South title. You know what I mean? You seen that thing? It's this huge ass belt. And then it's like a Russian nesting doll of titles from there. And then the smallest one is that little title WWE gave the mayor of London. And that's one of the championships. So here comes Ashley Vox. Here comes Ashley Vox with the ROH, we'll call it the Petite Championship. The ROH Petite Championship. And she has that. Every match is a title match in ROH. That's how we put value on these things. That's where I'm at. That's my grand idea for ROH.
I don't like you sometimes. I think that's everything from AEW Dynamite to talk about.
Everyone gets a title. And
You get
fans,
a title. You get a
yeah,
title.
the fans
You
get a title. Yeah, I'm going to be out there every show. I don't want to be on TV. I promise you I don't want to be on TV. But every show I'm going to be on TV. And I'm going to say, check under your chair right now because you get a title. And they're going to have these mini championships underneath
He's
their
like,
chairs.
I don't want the spotlight, but I'm going to be here every week. And he's just going to come out and be like, it started with a pencil. And then... Welcome to Ring of Honor.
I'm going to make sure fans get to stay. They're going to stay for these tapings because they're going to have championships underneath their seats. But it's just going to be one. It's one lucky person underneath their seats will get one. And then on the way,
the people that leave right after the AEW Dynamite taping, it might be someone that had the championship under their seat. So please fill in the seats down low. If someone's left, you can fill in the seat, and maybe you might have the next Ring of Honor World Championship under your seat.
I want to make sure the code of honor is adhered to in every match as well. That's going to be my biggest thing. We're bringing back the code of honor. They don't do it enough. Not enough coding and honoring out there.
I agree. He's gonna push the frat house.
Oh hell yeah! I love the frat house. They rule.
They're just a bastardized version of the best faction in pro wrestling today. The Vanity Project. Let's go. You know what time it is, Jeremy. You know what time it is. It's time for the SP3 sweet. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about WWE C-level shows where the Vanity Project is loved by everyone. Everyone loves the Vanity Project, just like me, Jeremy. That's what I got from this week's Evolve episode, which I literally had to seek out because WWE didn't post it on YouTube until like 7 minutes before we went live. I was like, where the hell is my Evolve? Don't they know I do my due diligence and I promote the gospel of Evolve? I can promote the gospel of Gabe Sapolsky, and they didn't put it on their YouTube channel till like 7 minutes ago. It's ridiculous stuff. But everyone loves the Vanity Project. Lexis King loves the Vanity Project, and he got permission from Zeta Steels to slide in her DMs. Nikita Lyons loves the Vanity Project. She wants to collab with the Vanity Project, so she's in there like swimwear. Everyone loves the Vanity Project, so it is a miscarriage of justice that our Prime Minister of Evolve, Stevie Turner, did not name a member of the Vanity Project in the four-way for the new Evolve men's and women's championships. They are going to have big four-ways in 3 weeks' time. There will be a four-way for the women's Evolve championship. You got my girl, little Bianca Belair Jazz, Callie Armstrong is going to be in it. The best spear in the game. Sorry, World Heavyweight Champion and your flying hug, Jey Uso. Kendall Gray is going to be in the four-way. Unfortunately, she might not. She might be injured, but we'll get into that. And Wendy Chu. Can't win them all. And the fourth person will be determined over the next couple of weeks. We got to find out who. And then for the men's Evolve Championship, because the men are the inferior gender on all of wrestling, it seems right now, only Shawn Legacy has qualified for the men's four-way for the Evolve Championship. And we got to fill in the other 3 spots that did not make Keanu Carver and Harlem Lewis are Battle of the Horses still being built. They were very upset with not being named for the matchup. They almost brawled until Vanity Project came in. They got rid of them. Then, someone skipped the picket line. Like, we were right. Eddie Thorpe could have been in the Battle Royal on Tuesday. You know why? Because Gallus was here on Evolve. Why can't someone come off the picket line? You can't come off the picket line and get off the unemployment line and come to work, Eddie Thorpe. Come on, Gallus is here. Don't give me all that kayfabe stuff of this is tape. I won't believe you. I don't believe you. Evolve is live, guys. Evolve is live. So Gallus was here. Javier Bernal was here. He had a sit down. We're coming up with a new character for him. I can't tell you how much that made me pop that they just started building his new character.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, you really couldn't cut this from the show.
It's a taped show. Like,
I know, but like you can edit things.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's a taped show. Like, you can cut this stuff out. It's okay. You'll be okay. And they're just like, nah, we're just gonna air this. We're gonna air this and act like this is gonna mean something when we just release this person.
I was blown away by that. And now he's a rocker. He's an emo rocker.
Yeah, it's not gonna last long.
He's an emo rocker. He's racing Itzgal next week. Gallus brawled with Keanu Carver and Harlem Lewis. They have a tag team match next week. So Sean Legacy stepped up to Lexis King, and they made a matchup for next week as well. Wendy Chu picked up another win on the show. Zeta Steel has said that she needs to be in the 4-way for the Women's Evolve Championship, but Stevie Turner says you can't talk your way into the title. How you didn't say there was another way to get into the title match and fill the last spot. So Zeta Steel should be able to talk her way into the championship. Come on. What are we talking about? Zeta Steel deserves that last spot. Kylie Ray came out and brawled with Wendy Chu, so that rivalry is still going on. And she looked fire up. She wasn't smiling. She wasn't smiley Kylie on this occasion. So that's all. Oh, and Nikita Lyons defeated Kendall Gray because Callie Armstrong during the opening segment chop blocked her, injured her leg, and that came back to haunt her in the matchup. And Nikita Lyons won with the Vader bomb, or I call it the Nikita bomb, for the 1-2-3. And then Callie Armstrong came out and attacked her leg once again. So Kendall Gray's looking like a question mark for the 4-way for the Women's Evolve Championship. But I like the titles. I like the story. The stories are now building. It now feels like this is a live brand. Much better show than SmackDown. I will give it that. It's only 1 hour, so it's like literally a third of the time. So it's much better. Yeah, but much better watch than SmackDown.
Yeah, but like a fourth of this show doesn't actually matter because they released.
What are you talking about? These people are skipping the picket line. They said we're fired. Eat it. No, we are here to work. We're here to work. Gallus is like, we still got jobs. Yeah, Jackson Drake. I like the names of his moves. He's got some. The Carolina Reaper is a great nickname. It is a great nickname. The Carolina Reaper.
That's just like that chip, right? Isn't that that like super hot chip? They call it the Carolina Reaper.
I don't know. I'm not from Carolina. You are.
Pretty sure. I'm from Ohio, sadly.
No, well, you live in Ohio now.
Yeah, it's a pepper, Carolina Reaper, and I know they've made it like chips. So
she's spicy. Well, Jackson Drace is spicy. He's part of the Vanity Project.
All right, fair.
Yeah,
there you go. Yeah, it's a pepper.
He's got and they like Lexis King's beard. He's got a sick beard. He probably gets all the babes with that. That's what Brad Baylor, my favorite golfer, said. So that was WWE Evolve this week. Good show, like I said. I like the building, the world building that we're doing over there. I like the mixture of NXT talent that is coming over, and I like the titles being introduced. So 3 weeks to our Evolve Women's Championship 4-way, and 4 weeks time we got our Men's 4-way for that championship. And then over on the best WWE show in the land, WWE LFG. We saw some good matches here, highlighted by Showtime Anthony Luke going one-on-one with the Reaper, the monster, Jasper Troy. Jasper Troy was getting biblical on their asses. They had a really good matchup. I like the fact that Jasper Troy pulled out like a tombstone slam that he apparently asked the Undertaker if he could even do a variation of the tombstone. He's got respect for the business. And this was the most personal of the matches that we saw because they sat down because this is the start of the LFG playoffs, like the women that we talked about. What was that on Monday? This one was for the men, and Booker sat down with Jasper Troy and Anthony Luke, basically telling them that you're the number 1 and number 2 seed. Like, this first round playoff matchup is really the final. Whoever wins this is going to win. You guys are better. BJ Ray, man, you better than him. And he basically asked them what's the difference between the two of y'all, and Anthony Luke says, I'm the one that's been working. He was like, he missed some practice day, and Jasper Troy lost it. He was like, I missed practice days because my baby was about to die. He explained that his wife, his baby had like a slow heartbeat and was like too small. So he almost lost his child after his wife gave birth to him. So that's why he was in the hospital and had to miss some days. He was like, this is real to him. And even like the Undertaker and Mickey James and Bubba Ray was like, this is a shoot for Jasper Troy. He really cares about this. This is life and death to him. And even his wife is about the gimmick. She's like, he calls her up. He's like, hey, babe, you know, if I make it to the finals, I'm going to wrestle at Madison Square Garden. She was like, oh, all right. We don't have any money. Legit. She did not even react. She said, we don't have any money. I was like, oh, she's a worker, brother. That's a real one. That's a real one. She's selling the gimmick, selling the dream. But Jasper Troy got the victory in the match with the Vader bomb, and then he was the Booker T's choice. So he's the leader. He's the one that you have to look at as going to be the winner of LFG. So the roadblock taping was apparently that was the final of the playoffs. So we'll see over the next couple of weeks how that goes down. You also had Shiloh Hill and Elijah Holyfield, which had a biting of the ear spot. Jeremy, we got a biting of the ear spot.
They're already doing that.
Undertaker booked it. He was like, he even gave the lore of the Mike Tyson Evander Holyfield matchup and why he wanted it in that matchup. Shiloh bit Elijah's ear.
You know, Undertaker was so giddy to do this because one, he likes stealing everything he does from combat sports, but he was so giddy to do this like before anybody else could, because they're gonna book this on television at some point, and Undertaker's gonna be like, I did it first, brother.
I did it. He's gonna be like, Sean, I did it before you. So yeah, they did that. I believe Shiloh got the win, and Shiloh also was Undertaker's choice. He still thinks that Elijah needs some work, and he's gonna have his back in everything, but he thinks that Shiloh is more ready. So Shiloh moves on. Elijah Holyfield was eliminated. Booker's criticism to Anthony Luke is that Anthony Luke is too much like The Rock. Remember, over the last couple of weeks when I've been reviewing this show, I've called him 1995 Flex Kavana, and he hits a spine buster and a Uranagi in the matchup, and it did look picture perfect like The Rock. So Booker said, anybody that has tried to be, like The Rock, they have failed because there's only the one The Rock. I need an original, and that's Jasper Troy. So that's why he chose Jasper over Anthony Luke there. Then you had Mickey was Troy Yearwood versus Chris Island. Troy Yearwood was a heel for the first time, and apparently he didn't find his gear, so he came out like a black John Cena. He had jean shorts on and like just sneakers on and everything. And Booker thought he was trying to make a message with everything, and he asked him, he was like, "What was the inspiration for your gear?" He was like, "Well, I ordered some new gear and it never came." That was his answer. But both guys look pretty good in the matchup. But Mickey believes that Troy still needs some more working on his character. She feels like Chris Island is a little far ahead. Chris Island is not going to win this though. He's too yapping at the mouth. I thought it was just with Bubba, but it seems like with anybody, he's talking back to them. All the legends. I think it was it was Bubba who was talking to him that he talked back to, because he told him, like, why are you laughing? Because Booker was arguing with Mickey because Mickey tried to choose their matchup as the best match when it was obvious it was Jasper Troy versus Anthony Luke. And of course, Booker was not having that, saying, you're lying to them. You're lying to them if you picking them to get the point. And Chris Island was laughing, and Bubba was like, why are you laughing? This man has more zeros in his bank account than you will ever have in your life. Why are you laughing at what he said? He was like, I'm just laughing at y'all going back and forth. And he was like, you shouldn't be laughing. You need to show some respect. And Chris Island was like, my mom taught me that I should always be able to stand up for myself. And he was like, see, exactly. Bubba said, see, exactly. And yeah, he was, even Mickey was like, sometimes Chris needs to realize you need to shut your mouth and just say, okay, and listen, you don't need to answer everything. But she still picked him over Chris Island. Over Troy Yearwood. So Troy Yearwood is eliminated. Chris Island makes it to the semifinals. And then finally, it was BJ Ray and Drake Monroe, aka Roxanne's boyfriend. Roxanne Perez was there to root on her boyfriend. And Bubba surprised everybody, and he picked BJ Ray over Drake Monroe, even though Drake Monroe has showed like the most growth as his character work with this New Orleans character and doing the dance and giving out the Mardi Gras beads. But he feels that BJ Ray, people are going to pay to see people punch him in the face. So that's why he's picking him. Entertainment trumps wrestling.
There you go. WWE LFG and the playoffs that are going on, and WWE Evolve, and the people who are no longer on the show but still on the show for some reason because they don't know how to edit shows that are 3 months old at this point. Pretty
much. This is filmed in like April, guys.
It's filmed in February.
Oh, it's filmed in February?
Yeah. I mean, they've had a week to edit it, a little less than. All the releases were on Friday. They could have edited it by then, but they did not. Clearly, they did not. Oh, well, what can you do with the LFG out there? All right. Anything else, SP3?
That is all for me. I talked about the C-suite, talked about Dynamite, and we had arguably right up there. I think it's like 1A, 1B with our Joey Janela interview for the best interview that we've done together, Jeremy, today.
Yeah, I agree. All right, folks.
Paul London was 1A, 1B, 1C. Yeah, those are the top three.
Paul London was definitely up there as well. All right, folks. I will not be here tomorrow. I have a rare day off to listen to screamy music. I don't know what I'm getting myself into.
It's gonna be all of that.
I'm very scared. Sorry, I like blew out some eardrums and stuff there.
Choked me up a little bit there.
Sorry. All right.
My love is like the berserker. Would you like to scream me fuck berserker?
I don't know that song.
It's from Clerks.
Okay. Yeah. I got it now. All right.
All right. Well, Jeremy, we're gonna miss you tomorrow. We're gonna miss you.
I'll be on the Spotlight at 6:30 today. Myself and Steven Jensen. We're scheduled to be joined by Josh Bishop, longtime pal of the show. Great Josh Bishop will be there. So hopefully, we'll see. Always put it out there. I probably just jinx that one. All right, folks. Until then, SP3, let them know where you're at.
Follow me on the Twitter machine at TrueHeelSP3, or is it over here? I don't know. Follow me at TrueHeelSP3. I will be live in just over 30 minutes, a half an hour, with Jimmy Macaram on AE Ramble, discussing in depth last night's AEW Dynamite. We'll talk all about it with all of you, and we'll see how much Jimmy hated the fun party match because he hates fun. And I'll have to deal with that and give him disclaimers for insulting the Young Bucks. But yes, check that out. And I will also be live here tomorrow on In the Weeds with Joel Pearl, where I promise I will be nice to Joel. He's like, oh, I thought we're acting like we hate each other. No, because you always sound like you get hurt. So I have to say I love you, so like I'm not used to this. I come from a black family. We insult each other all the time.
Don't be nice to Joel. Don't do that. That's no fun. I give you permission to be as mean as you want to Joel. All that.
All right, cool. Thank you.
I feel like
appreciate
you will not be living up to the spirit of the show if you're nice to Joel.
That's true. That's true.
We'll see if I do a run in. I'll be driving, but my wife will be in the car, so I'll have her like hold the camera, and I'll appear as I drive. That's gonna be my run in for the show.
Lovely.
On the road to death metal
Rolling.
with Jeremy. Yeah,
It's gonna be like this. This is gonna be Jeremy with his hair all out.
it's gonna suck. Send your kind wishes, please, everybody, to me. I will hopefully be back on Monday. We'll see. Might be dead. Don't know. Might thrash too hard and not be here any longer. Until then,